Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Now we are checking your audio first. Could you say hello to us?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Can you speak like two more sentences, please?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Siri from Mongolia. And nice to see you all.
방금 말한 사람 목소리 크게 하라고 말했어.
Good morning, nice to see you, Sharon.
Nice to see you.
Soren, I think you have to speak more loudly.
Okay,
Yeah.
I need to
Or
check.
yes, I think that headset is more better than the earphone. Yeah.
Good evening to Safi from the US.
I'm sorry, did you say something about the US?
No?
Yes, a good evening to you. I am Tim from Hong Kong,
I didn't install it.
and I am the moderator for this session.
Oh, hey, I am Sami Surampuli from the US Census Bureau.
Yes, nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you too.
Mhm.
I am not able to see the video of others, but maybe because I am doing the Zoom in the browser.
Oh, okay.
Are you able to see me?
Yes, I can see you. Yeah.
Uh,
everyone. The conference will begin in 3 minutes. I will see you right away. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the 30th Population Census Conference for its second day. The Population Census Conference was first organized in 1971 and has continued to serve as a useful platform for advancing censuses in America, Asia, the Pacific, and beyond. The 30th conference, originally planned to be held in Ulaanbaatar City, Mongolia, in June of this year, was postponed and changed to a virtual format owing to the prevailing COVID-19 conditions. The 30th Population Census Conference is co-hosted by the Association of National Census and Statistics Director of America, Asia, and the Pacific, known as ANGSTAP, the National Statistics Office of Mongolia, and Statistics Korea. The conference consists of 7 sessions, and today we will cover 3 of them. Before resuming sessions, we have a couple of housekeeping announcements. First, we do not have official breaks within or between sessions unless the conference adjourns for the day. However, if any session ends earlier than its planned ending time, the following sessions will resume according to the pre-arranged schedule. Please refer to the conference program in our webpage for the detailed schedule of each session. The sessions will be composed of 2 or 3 presentations, followed by Q&A, which will be moderated by a session chair. To ask questions or make comments during each session, please use the question and comment section, which is located underneath this video in this webpage. The Secretariat will monitor the webpage throughout a session and deliver your questions and comments to each session chair, who is delegated to address selected questions and remarks. Without further ado, we would like to invite you to Session 3, Technologies on Census Taking. This session will continue for an hour and a half and will be chaired by Mr. Kam Tim Chow, Assistant Commissioner of Census and Statistics Department in Hong Kong, China. Mr. Tim Chow leads the Office of 2021 Population Census to develop and implement an integrated strategy across the entire process of the census, which will adopt a wide usage of information technology. Mr. Chow, now you have the floor until 11 a.m. in Hong Kong time.
Thank you, the organizer. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to participants from different regions. Welcome to the first sessions of the Population Census Conference. It's my pleasure to be the moderator of these sessions on technologies on census taking. These sessions focuses on applications of information technology on population census. Today, we have 3 presentations from speakers in the US, India, and Mongolia. Each presentation will last for around 25 minutes. During the presentations, participants are welcome to send in questions using the chat window. We will have time for the speakers to answer the questions after all the presentation. Okay, let me introduce our first speakers, who is Mr. Safi Surampudi, Chief of the Methodological and Software Development Branch of the U.S. Census Bureau. He is going to share with us the CS Pro as a data collection and processing solution for the Global 2021 of Census. Mr. Surampudi, the floor is yours, and please start your presentation.
Can you all see the screen now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. I am Sami Surampudi, Chief of Methodology and Software Development Branch, International Programs of the U.S. Census Bureau. Today I'll be talking about CS Pro as a data collection and processing solution for the global 2020 round of censuses. This is a presentation overview. I'll start off with what the U.S. Census Bureau's International Programs does, followed by the CS Pro solution in data collection and also for data processing. I'll share about our experience with CAPI censuses and also CS Pro Android census implementations that we have done recently. U.S. Census Bureau's international programs promotes international development and capacity strengthening through training and technical assistance to national statistical offices in all aspects of census and survey taking, demographic and economic research to encourage informed decision making, software and methodological tools development to facilitate the census and survey taking process for counterpart agencies and the global statistical community. With the technical assistance, we have primarily two mechanisms. One is a fully funded USAID mechanism where all the technical assistance activity is funded by the USAID at no cost to the national statistical offices. A second mechanism is where the U.S. Census Bureau comes to a direct agreement with the National Statistical Office, and the National Statistical Office funds the technical assistance activities. These are the primary models. With the software and methodological tools, CS Pro is one of our primary tools. I will be talking about that shortly. We have another tool called DAPS for population projection and estimates. There is another tool called Tool for Assessing Statistical Capacity. Basically, this tool is administered in national statistical organizations where we are involved in work. And this tool helps us determine the strengths and the weaknesses of an NSO and helps us custom tailor technical assistance activities to help the NSO in the census and survey taking. Where have we worked? As you can see in this map, we have worked all around the world. The darker shades of blue in this map shows the countries where we have worked recently. Currently, we are supporting censuses in Namibia, Botswana, Mali, Ghana, Zambia, and Tanzania, and Mauritius. Census and Survey Processing System, CS Pro. So what is CS Pro and what does it do? CS Pro is a one-stop shop for the data processing needs of census and survey processing. This tool has been around since 2000 for over 20 years. It has successfully met the needs of the census and survey processing needs of statistical organizations and surveys around the world. Right from the beginning, when it was designed for keying as a main way of census taking, key from paper, and then scanning, and finally now, like in modern world of mobile data collection. So CS Pro has evolved as the technology has evolved. The product suite contains a data entry application that module, which basically works on Android and Windows, so it is targeted to multiple platforms, and also editing and imputation. Once you collect your data using CS Pro data entry, you can clean the data using CS Pro batch processing module. Once the data is cleaned, you can do tabulations in CS Pro using a simple drag and drop. CS Pro also has mechanisms to export data to other popular tools like OR, SPSS, and SAS. So CS Pro experience. So censuses around the world in the current 2020 round of censuses, 40 plus countries have committed to using CS Pro Android for the 2020 round. Over 300 million people counted for 2020 round by end of 2021. CS Pro is the gold standard for demographic health surveys, multiple indicator cluster survey, labor force surveys, and income and expenditure surveys around the world. CS Pro is not just used for CAPI. Like I said, when people need the mixed mode, they've also chosen this tool as a primary choice. Uzbekistan, for example, is going to be doing their census probably in 2022. They will be primarily be using keying. Bangladesh is planning to do a census later, and they are planning to do a mixed mode of both CAPI and key from paper and probably scanning. So a mix of both, but CS Pro can accommodate all these different aspects. CS Pro data collection. CS Pro data entry features are like you could develop the application for the data collection on the Windows, test it on Windows, and run the same application without any modifications, both on Windows and on Android. So basically you can target to multiple platforms. CS Pro also supports targeting an application using multiple languages with minimal changes. So you can have your error messages, labels, response categories in as many languages as you want to implement in. This is accomplished using Unicode. CS Pro maintains the quality of data by enforcing consistency checks in the application. CS Pro has a very powerful programming language that you can use to impose consistency checks in addition to writing some complex programs. And this language is primarily meant for people who do not have high-level programming expertise and targeted for subject matter experts. It has also network data entry. So if you want to set up a keying operation system, in a networked system, you can do an operation for all the data entry using all the enumerators in a network. The data can be transferred from the field using data synchronization. Here is an example of an application that has been targeted to two platforms. An application written in Chinese. On the right side, you see the application in the desktop, data entry application. And on the left-hand side, the same application is running in the modern UI on the Android phone. CS Pro CAPI features. These CAPI features like dynamic question text and responses, response categories using the modern UI, all of these help improve data quality in your data collection. CS Pro CAPI has multiple language support. You can capture GPS coordinates. Signature and barcode are the newer features that we have. Mauritius, in their current census application, they're using barcode capture to capture the unique ID of the enumerator so that he does not have to log in to the application. That is the mechanism of logging in. So that is a way they're using barcode. Also, at the end of the data collection in a household, they're also capturing the signature, basically for taking the consent and verifying that the individual has indeed participated in the data collection. CS Pro also has multimedia features where you can play audio and also you can record audio. This is primarily used for surveys where you can record audio for auditing purposes. Paradata is a feature in CS Pro. You can enable it without programming at the click of a button to capture the metrics of how long an interview has taken in the field, how long a respondent has spent on a particular question, and what is the battery life, and so on and so forth. These metrics help in improving your data entry application. And Paradata was used in other countries where we have participated in helping them. In in the pilot census, and those metrics have been used to improve the data entry application. In this screen, you're seeing Ethiopia application that we have helped them do it. On the left-hand side, you see all the forms like person details, disability, migration, fertility, and all the standard stuff like of a census questionnaire. On the right-hand side, you see a roster of the person details. On the desktop, rosters are provided to have rows of information collected, and all the data can be seen in one screen. On the top, you can see the question text, which is going to be a fill-in. A fill-in question basically helps in improving data quality by making sure the respondent is responding to the correct question and the enumerator is asking the correct question for the correct person. On the top, you can see a drop-down which shows English, but this application has been enabled for using 5 different languages in Ethiopia, Amharic being one of the main languages. Here is a data entry application running on CS Pro Android. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the household data entry application, the Census Household Questionnaire of Malawi for 2018, of the 2018 census. On the left-hand side, you can see a navigation tree where you can see, which can be used to navigate between the fields of the form. And also, you can see what data has been entered so far. On the right side of the screen, you can see the response categories for religion displayed as radio buttons. And at the top, you can see the question text with a fill-in, which is saying, what is James Smith's religion? This has been dynamically populated based on the current person. And the text in blue is basically additional information for the enumerator to make sure that he can see these instructions to ask the question correctly. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see a map. This is for Namibia, which we're an application we're developing currently for them. It is using a tile package which was generated in ArcGIS. A map is being used for visualization of what the enumeration area is, and also displaying the status of the level of completion for these households. You can see at the bottom that the structure 007 Jane Coffey has been completed. It has got a green circle with a white check box, white check mark in it, and the exclamation marks on the screen that you're seeing are incomplete household questionnaires. Basically, this can be used to see the status of the data completion. You can add a questionnaire from here. You can capture GPS coordinates. You can remove the households, and so on and so forth. Case management in CS Pro is basically done using CS entry applications. On the left-hand side, in this Malawi census, an interviewer has logged in. So based on his role as an enumerator or an interviewer, he can add new households and also transfer data to the supervisor. But if you see on the right-hand side, someone with a supervisory role has logged in, and he can not only transfer data between to the interviewer and also to the headquarters, but also review the data, see some reports, see the status, and also change assignments in the field. Here is an example of dynamic reports that are being shown that would be shown on Android. This is a Mauritius application. Mauritius conducts their census in twofold, basically. First, they conduct a housing census, and 4 months later, they go into the field with that data and collect and do the population census. So this is a report showing by the supervisory area the status of the questionnaires and how many have been completed, and they're based on different types of like hotels, orphanages or institutions or private households, the type of the household. And at the bottom, you can also see the field work status by enumerator. This is all test data and it has not been populated. But as you can see, dynamic reports can be done in CS Pro for giving out custom reports to the enumerator and the supervisor, which will be helpful to see the status of the operations. Data synchronization. CS Pro data can be transferred securely using Bluetooth. On the right-hand side in the picture here, you're seeing an enumerator is transferring data to the supervisor using Bluetooth. The requirement for Bluetooth is that you need to be close to each other for this to function. So basically, in the offline mode, people are transferring data using Bluetooth. And when they have connectivity, they can either securely transfer the data to Dropbox or an FTP server run by an organization, or CS Web, which is a REST API server service that we developed using LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL. It can also run on Windows on IIS servers. So that facilitates the data transfer from the field to the central server. Countries where we have been involved in, all of the NSOs hosted their own server. It was very important in countries where we have been that the data was hosted on their on-premise servers and not even on cloud, because it was not to be trusted if it was not residing in their own country. So CS Web allows you to set up the server in-house on-premise in the NSO. So the workflow and the data transfer are basically like this is the model in censuses that where we have operated, where 5 enumerators are basically transferring to the supervisor in offline mode using Bluetooth technology. The supervisor makes assignments, transfers the data to the interviewer using Bluetooth, receives the data back once the interviewer completes the data collection, and it is sent back onto the internet once the supervisor verifies if all the data is complete. And when the supervisor's tablet has either Wi-Fi or cellular data network SIM card, so that he can be on the internet to transfer the data to the CS Web server. And this model has worked very well for the countries where we have operated. CS Pro data processing, like I said, CS Pro is not just a data collection tool. You can also clean the data. It has specific functionality for hot deck and cold deck imputations. You can generate imputation statistics and also generate custom reports. Once you clean the data, you can also do cross-tabulations, basically age by sex distributions, or area processing, which is one of a very cool feature in CS Pro, is you can generate tables that can drill down to a lower level geography. Here on the left-hand side, you can see sex table that has been generated to the level of village in this fictitious Popstan country. So you can drill down to the lowest level, and it is consolidated all the way up to the country level. It is easy to generate CS Pro tables in CS Pro, and you can also create complex tables with some programming. CAPI census. As you all know, CAPI, there are advantages to CAPI, which is timely data is produced, data quality seems to be good. There is reduced post-data collection processing costs if you are not doing mixed mode potentially. That's the key. And near real-time central monitoring, if you're sometimes like you may be offline, so that's why I said like near real-time central monitoring. And you can also collect georeference data using lat-long coordinates capture, like using the GPS coordinate capture system in the CS Pro Android. And the challenges that are there in this CAPI world are basically the equipment costs are high. There are upfront costs. There is more time needed during the preparation phase. Higher programmer skills are required. infrastructure constraints like electricity and connectivity are also issues. But in spite of these, in countries where we have seen, like a lot of countries have adopted CAPI census, and we are surprised that it had happened very, very quickly and rapidly. And most countries have managed the risks very well to do successful censuses using CAPI. CAPI configurations in countries where we have been involved in, procurement was one of the key aspects that one needs to pay attention to. In a small country like Lesotho in 2016, getting tablets, all the tablets from a single vendor was difficult at the time. So they had to do multiple vendors, different manufacturers for different set of tablets. That was a problem. But Kenya in 2019, they bought 160,000 tablets from China, and they did with very good planning ahead. Developing a CAPI instrument is like a software development. If national statistical offices do not have this expertise, that is a challenge because you need to constantly develop. Iterative testing has to be done. Mini pilots have to be done because if the risk of failure without testing in a final census is very high. So this is an important aspect, and change control to make sure that the questionnaire design is complete way ahead is an important thing when you do CAPI. Infrastructure is an important thing related to power. Ethiopia, for example, had several hard to reach areas where an enumerator would be in the field without electricity for potentially for more than a week or so, and they needed to have some backup plans. Large countries with large areas have different cellular network providers in different regions to ensure that everyone had, all the supervisors had cellular data connectivity. They had to get into agreements with multiple cellular network vendors. Data security is also an issue. If NSOs who are not familiar with how to host a server, how to secure the tablets, if they are not familiar with this, they need to pay attention to these things as well. CS Pro Android implementations. 2018, Malawi did their census, enumerated about 17.3 million people using 20,000 Android tablets. They used power bank with solar chargers. They used CS Web as a data transmission mechanism. CS Web was hosted on premise. They did CS Pro edits and used CS Pro edits and tabulations to produce production-ready tables. In this particular technical assistance activities, we were involved almost 2 years ahead of time. 1 year before the census was actually done, a pilot was conducted. When the modifications were done, a mini pilot was done. So all of these things helped them to conduct their census successfully. Kenya is a case where they had an agreement with the U.S. Census Bureau. We provided limited technical assistance, basically 2 technical assistance activities. And the reason it worked was Kenya was using CS Pro since the first version in 2000, and they had very good in-house capacity. And while we provided technical assistance and the questionnaire design all the way to edits and tabulations, this was very, very targeted technical assistance. They bought around 160,000 tablets. In this model where you have one enumerator probably doing about 80 to 100 households and 5 enumerators working under a supervisor, they use the same model, but their 1 week enumeration period resulted in having a lot of enumerators in the field, and they successfully pulled off this operation to enumerate their population of about 48 million people. They use CS Pro Android for data collection and CS Web for data transfer solution. Well, that is my presentation. I hope I'm on time.
Yes, the time is right. Thank you, Mr. Surimputi. It's a
Thank you.
live presentation
Yeah, thank
that
you.
introduced the the very popular public domain software packages used by many organizations and individuals all over the world for collecting and processing census and survey data. We looked that CSPRO is designed to be user-friendly, yet powerful enough to handle the many complex applications. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Sure, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yes, okay,
Okay, good.
yeah. So, shall I introduce the second speakers, Ms. Varadi? Ms. Varadi is the Joint Director, Census of the Office of Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India. She is looking after the work related to population census and will present to us the next census in India and use of technology. Ms. Varadi, it's your time. Please take the floor and start your presentation.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to all. So, is my presentation visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So, thank you. My presentation topic is next census in India and use of technology in census, particularly in data collection. So, this is the outline of my presentation. We will see introduction and some history about Census of India, legacy, the act under which Census of India is conducted, vastness, as you know that India is second in terms of population and geographically India is a very diverse country. Then in general calendar of Census of India, National Population Register updation, which will be the starting for register based census in India, then methodology for data collection, training part, questions asked, and technology which will be used in next census, like first time we are using mobile apps for data collection, CMMS portal for monitoring the real based progress of fieldwork, and house listing block mapping. So, introduction, Census of India is the only source of primary data at village, town and ward level, and it's the biggest source of comprehensive data on housing condition, amenities available in the household and assets possessed by the household, demography like age data, marital data, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, urbanization, literacy and education, language, religion and migration, economic activity like types of workers, main worker, non-worker, travel to place of work, etc. Then fertility. So, Census of India has a big history of about 150 years. First non-synchronous census was conducted between the years 1865 to 1872 in different parts of the country. Since then, census is conducted in India, and first synchronous was conducted in 1881. So, from 1872, the next census in 2021 will be 16th in the series and 8th since independence. Census in India is conducted under Census Act 1948 and Census Rules 1990, and it is widely used for planning and formulation of policies and effective public administration by government. Apart from it, its main utility is delimitation or reservation of constituents for parliamentary assembly, panchayats and other local bodies. So from this slide, you can see vastness in Indian census. We have 36 provinces and 734 districts in these 36 provinces or states. Census charges are approximately 18,000. These are particularly towns or sub-districts. Villages, 650,000 villages, 8,000 towns and cities. Enumeration block, these are 2.5 million. One enumeration block comprise roughly 150 census houses or 600 to 700 population. Enumerators and supervisors appointed will be 3.1 million. So one enumerator for each enumeration block and one supervisor for 6 enumerators. Questionnaire, that is schedules, will be prepared in 16 languages and instruction manual in 18 languages. So Census of India generally conducted in 2 phases. The first phase is house listing phase, generally 1 year prior to main census. So its period was April to September 2020, period of 45 days as chosen by state government. For between 45 days, 30 days for HLO, that is house listing and housing census, and 15 days for updation of national population register. But this is postponed now due to outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic until further orders. Phase 2, generally the calendar for phase 2, that is population enumeration, is from 9th to 20th February 2021 with a revisional round of 1st to 5th March 2021. And for snowbound areas like Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, we have population enumeration in 2020 only, that is 1 year prior to main census in other non-snowbound areas. The calendar for data dissemination, provisional population we release within 3 weeks after revisional round, that is before 31st March 2021. HLO data 6 to 8 months after fieldwork completed. Population enumeration data, that is village-wise primary data, is disseminated within 1 year after fieldwork completed, and other population enumeration data and finalization and pair data within 2 years. So this is a short brief about National Population Register updation. NPR was first prepared in 2010 along with first phase of census 2011, that is house listing census. Then in 2015 it was updated and some additional data regarding mobile number, Aadhaar number, that is unique identification number, and ration card number were collected. Now it has again been decided to update National Population Register with next house listing and housing census. So by linking NPR with registration on birth and death, a real-time population register will be available, leading to register-based census in future. Methodology for data collection. Up to 2011, only paper schedules were used for data collection in India. But this time we are using mixed mode for data collection, mobile app, paper schedule, and self-enumeration. And enumerators will use their own device. Alternate arrangement to provide all enumerator a paper schedule in case it is not possible to collect and upload data on mobile app is also there. But digital collection has been incentivized by making provision for higher honorarium to those enumerators who will collect data on mobile app. Then management and monitoring through census web portal is developed, and minimum descriptive entries through coded responses. Some questions like relationship, mother tongue, other languages, occupation, industry, which have descriptive entries up to 2011 census, will now have been collected through coded response. So this will facilitate for early processing and tabulation of data. This is the training structure for 2021 census, 3-tier structure of trainers to train 3.1 million enumerators and supervisors. At national level, we have 90 national trainers. These are from our office, Office of Registrar General, and 30 from state administrative training institutes. Then these 90 national trainers will train 1000 master trainers. These will be mostly from state governments and some from our state offices, that is Directorate of Census Operation. And these in turn will train 43,000 field trainers, which will be from states, UTs, which will train to 3.1 million enumerators and supervisors. So this is the question, house listing questionnaire for 2021. We will collect data on housing condition like material of floor, wall and roof, use and condition of house, ownership, number of rooms, number of married couples. Then amenities available in the household, that is drinking water facility, lighting, latrine facility, drainage connectivity, bathing, kitchen, fuel used for cooking. Assets possessed by household like radio or transistor, television, computer, telephone, mobile phone, bicycle, scooter, car, access to internet. And other information like main serial consumed by the household and mobile number. For population enumeration, on 4 categories data will be collected like demographic, sex, male, female and transgender, date of birth and age, marital status, age at marriage, children born and surviving, socio-cultural, relationship to head, religion, SC, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, disability, mother tongue, other languages, literacy status, educational level and stream or discipline. In economic category, the questions canvas will be on work status, main, marginal and non-worker, category of economic activity, occupation, industries, class of worker, non-economic activity and mode of travel. And in migration, birthplace, place of last residence, reason for migration and duration of stay. So census activities using new technology. With the advancement of technology and availability of resources, following mobile apps have been developed for data collection. The first four maps will be used in first phase of census, that is house listing, along with updation of National Population Register, that is house listing and housing census offline mobile app for geotagging of enumeration blocks, self-enumeration for updation of NPR and NPR offline mobile app. And the fifth and sixth apps will be used for second phase, that is population enumeration phase, population enumeration offline mobile app and self enumeration for population enumeration. So one of the most critical feature of mobile application is data capturing in offline mode. This would be very useful in the areas where connectivity is still a challenge. Internet availability is required only for registration of enumerator and uploading of data only. So these apps will be in 16 languages in which census is conducted. So census related communications will be sent on mobile number of each household. Mobile number of each household will be collected in first phase of census. Data collection on app eliminates the problem of varied handwriting, and it will also enhance the quality by highlighting and rectifying the errors authenticating at the time of field collection, and it also minimizes the errors due to conventional data entry. Alternate arrangement of paper questionnaire in case not possessing enumerator to collect data on mobile app, and digital data collection is incentivized by paying higher rate of honorarium. Alternate arrangement of paper schedule in some part of country is kept due to technological challenges or special practical problems or limited technical knowledge by the enumerator. It cannot be ruled out in a country like India. So paper schedules will also be supplied to the enumerators. And apps to be installed in mobile owned by enumerators to eliminate problems related to procurement, maintenance and post-survey upkeep of handset. Census management and monitoring system portal has been developed for management of fieldwork and monitoring real-time progress. All census-related activities happening at center, state, and district level will be monitored on real-time basis. This includes pre-census activities, during census activities, as well as post-census activities. So, role-based access to all central state government census functionaries having main features like functionaries including enumerators to be registered on portal before allocation of work, record of training details and mode opted by enumerators like paper mode or mobile mode, online entry of census abstracts for filled in paper schedules. In case of paper schedules use, then online entry of census abstract will be done by this portal, so that it will help in disseminating provisional population within 3 weeks after the fieldwork completed. And logistic management, it includes printing of schedules and supply of various census items to enumerators. Data dissemination using technology in data dissemination, census as a service, data analytics and dissemination for plan and customized tables, and introducing application program interface. Ministries, states, other users to get desired aggregated information as per their need through tables and maps, so that they can use census data along with their own data for better implementation of government schemes or policies. Then fund transfer of honorarium to 3.1 million census functionaries will be directed through in their bank accounts using CMMS portal. Apart from this, fund transfer to state governments or union territories through PFMS, this will facilitate monitoring expenditures and efficient utilization of fund. Technology in training, in addition to classroom training, e-learning modules are prepared. E-learning module for census and NPR in 16 Indian languages. E-learning mobile app for census and NPR in 16 Indian languages. Animation videos to demonstrate role play in two languages, Hindi and English. And digital instruction manual for census and NPR. So, house listing block mapping. First time ORGI is attempting the house listing block mapping by using mobile-based application. Through this process, all house listing blocks shall be geotagged for better monitoring on coverage, identifying omissions and overlaps, and for location of the blocks in future. Generally, layout maps prepared by enumerators are notional sketches and they are not to the scale, so it is impractical to put them into any systematic mapping frame. Hence, to make them more usable, HL block boundaries, that is house listing block boundaries, will be captured using mobile app, which can record the location coordinates and send the same to servers. By connecting these locations, HLB boundaries will be constructed for monitoring the coverage, help in identifying the omitted and overlapping areas, and also to locate the HL blocks in future without any difficulty. So this is the screenshot of mobile app for capturing HLB boundaries. You can see that these are various buttons. You can start, then left turn, right turn, intersection, street and landmark. So these all be captured by supervisor. This is the example. The notional map is prepared by enumerator, which is not to scale. And enumerators will prepare layout sketches and mark the terminal buildings where HL block ends. These are the terminal ends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this will be marked in red color. And then supervisor will capture all these terminal points through his mobile app. The feature for this mobile app is also it works in offline mode. Only for uploading the data, he will require internet connectivity. That's all from my side. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Varadi, for your interesting presentation. We learned that in India, technology has been widely adopted in different census activities, ranging from data collection, census administration, to data dissemination. So we particularly learned that all housing blocks shall be geotagged for better monitoring on coverage and identifications of omissions and duplication. It's a good application of GIS in census operation. Thanks again for your presentation. So may I remind our participants to leave your questions using the chat window. The speakers will have times to answer the questions after all the presentations. So let's start the last presentation for this session. The speaker is Siren Duma, who is the reference of the Information Technology Department of the National Statistics Office of Mongolia. She is going to share with us the information technology solutions for the census 2020 in Mongolia. Ms. Duma, you may begin your presentation.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you share your screen?
Hello everyone. On behalf of the National Statistics Office, I would like to welcome you to the content of my
Dear participants, I think there may be some technical problems right now. Would you please wait for a moment? Thank you. Is Sharon? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah. Is Sharon? Yeah, we can hear you loud. Can you share? We can see your screen. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry for let me speak.
Yes.
Hello everyone, I'm Sirin from Mongolia, and this is the purpose of our census. Okay. The purpose of census 2020 was complete. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, the purpose of IT site was completing basic census database and accuracy using advanced technology and improving population and housing census. Improving population and household registration database and enumerating population and housing completely without any duplication and omissions, disseminating results clearly and accelerate to users using geographic database criteria, and analyzing in-depth analysis. Here is the technical environment of census. It can be divided into 4 steps, which are data collection, data entry, analysis, and data dissemination. It shows the software used in each stages. The first 3 stages include the establishment of census database. The peculiarity of the census was registered based on the census database needed to be compiled from several sources. It used different methods of data collecting and processing and aggregated collected data. Unlike the traditional method, it was based on population and household registration database, and the main database was online based. The census database 2020 formed by merging following sources. This includes update population registration database, conduct dwelling census, conduct sample data collection, and housing and population census. Now I am talking about how to update the population and household registration database, PHRD. As I mentioned before, population and household registration database is the main database of the census. Initially in 2006, the National Statistics Office developed Windows-based desktop application for the household and population registration. Then the web-based population and household registration online application started in 2014. The system registers 19 indicators for households and 19 indicators for individuals. Each household has its own household ID, key ID number, and population is registered to the database on the person ID number. Since that database was free of any duplications for the population and household, the database is real-time, therefore we can read the data related to population and household in real-time. Our administrative units connects by the PHRD, Mongolian National Data Center provides safety operations, and NSA provides methodology.
That here is the PHRD control, some screenshots and how the feature of the PHRD database. It's possible to control migration, provided internet management, integrated management. That means household shifted to destination unit from previous unit. The destination unit gets the notification. PHRD connected with the civil registration system. That means information of registered births and deeds to transfer it directly as notification to PHRD. According to the notification, Bakhara governor, which is the governor of smallest administrative unit, adds newborn babies to the household, also exclude deeds from the household. PHRD is sampling population to all household-based sample surveys, which organized from NSO. While population in the household registration database were being updated by Bakhara governor, we developed a person self-confirmation online system in the order to accomplishing collected the data fast and accurately using the development of technology. While implementing CAVI, which is computer-assisted web interviewing method here, this online system works that person can update and confirm their own private and household indicators filled in population and household registration database. When person enters the system, must register to DAN system to identify. The system DAN is integrated system of authentication is platform that enables confirmation and identification of here. DAN is integrated system of authentication is the platform that enables confirmation and identification of citizens to get all varieties of services in the e-environment, which also enables integrations between unrelated systems of both public and private sector services. Anyone sign up to the system must get a privacy code to their own cell phone number, which must be registered in their name. This would provide security for individuals' privacy. When entering the system, need to choose login option, which are digital signature or one-time password. Once that system successfully validated and individuals can access the registration website, it provides to a person who can check and confirm their own private and household data filled in PHRD via the internet. If they shown that is different from actual data, the individual can make corrections. Self-registration site was available between 2019 1st October to 2020 January 8, and total 10,384 households and 31,488 people's information has updated. The next integrated system is the person who lives abroad registration online system, cooperate with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He implemented computer-assisted web interviewing method here too. This system provides a person who lives abroad can register themselves and embassy officers can register them. Now, this system works regularly and maintained by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Also, this online system is linked with the border database, so it provides a person who was outbound that can be registered only. This makes the database more clear. Moreover, when a person who lives abroad registers themselves, it can be possible to log in by Facebook or Google account in order to user-friendly. It contains a user registration menu and also monitoring and report menu for government officers who belong to Ministry of Foreign Affairs. A lot of administrative data is collected in each of the organizations. Unfortunately, these administrative data have not compiled into an integrated system. They are not updated data in PHRD. So we looked for possibility of updating PHRD by official and reliable data source. Administrative data is official data, so it's important that updating PHRD with this administrative data. With this framework, we collected official data of 7 ministries, 9 agencies, and 28 administrative data, and 50 databases were merged into PHRD. The database format was usually an Excel datasheet and sometimes online services, and various structures and types. For example, changes in education level are not implemented on PHRD in real time for everyone. So we get official data on education from the Ministry of Education and Science and matched one by one the key indicator of person ID number, show name, given name to PHRD. Let me introduce you to the dwelling census. The dwelling census was conducted to identify all dwelling in the territory of Mongolia and to establish a database containing the detailed data of dwelling fund, construction, operation, capacity, and infrastructure. In doing so, we aimed to use more advanced technology, save time, and spend less rather than one-paper questionnaires. Therefore, it was decided to use ArcGIS system based on the cadastral mapping database of the Mongolian Department of Land Affairs and Geodesy. The collection of census data involves the following steps. Create the preliminary address list using ArcGIS collector software. Cadastral maps of Authority of Land Management and Geodesy were displayed in geospatial data. In doing so, 30 online preliminary systems have been developed at the AMOG and district level. The system created polygons and pointers, representations of each object in different colors and shapes. Preliminary registration was made it possible to redesign and renovate houses, buildings, and gears, which are the national dwellings of Mongolia. In order to monitor the process of creating preliminary address list, a monitoring system has been developed on the ArcGIS online dashboard. It depicts the registration process in spatial, creates a graph of key parameters, and works in dynamic structure. Now I will describe how the dwelling census conducted. A base census database was created to identify the data required for census according to preliminary census. The census questionnaire was collected in tablet and copy, which is computer-assisted personal interviewing method, 55 Android tablets and 145 Windows tablets. A total of 200 tablets were used in data collection. Two types of software used to collect the census data. First, collector for ArcGIS software was developed to work with base census database for objects displayed in spatial. Second, data collection system based on the census questionnaire was developed in Survey 123 for ArcGIS. The two applications were interconnected and the census data was collected by selecting an object from the collector for ArcGIS program and passing it to Survey 123 for ArcGIS. Both programs are available online and offline mode. For offline mode, a total of 30 special data from the base census database for each AMOX and districts were prepared for the collector for ArcGIS program and copied and configured for each tablet. The program allows you to add new objects, synchronize and transfer information to the central server. Three types of questionnaire for each of 5 regions. A total of 15 data entry applications developed by Survey 123 for ArcGIS software. Similarly, data is collected in offline mode, synchronized and transmitted to a central server in online mode. ArcGIS Online has also developed 30 monitoring dashboards to monitor data collection. This information collected according to the development census was stored in the MS SQL database through the ArcGIS portal system configured on the NSO's central server. This database was linked to the PHRD on the location and address information of the household location points and compiled the census database housing information. Now I will describe detailed data. Now I will describe detailed data collection methods. The traditional data collection method was conducted PAPI method, which is paper-assisted personal interviewing method. Enumerators collected the census data from selected households by paper questionnaire. Supervisors checked the questionnaire filled by enumerators. NSO received all completed census materials from administrative census commissions. The sample size was 10% of total households in every administration unit. For data entry, when data processing of traditional census, indicators of profession, employment, international standard, industrial classification code, international standard classification of occupation code, filled in completed questionnaire was coded. The coding was done by web-based system and the typing was done in CSPRO system. The Census and Survey Processing System, CSPRO, is a public domain software for entering, editing, tabulating, and disseminating census and survey data supported by the Census Bureau of United States. CSPRO is designed to be as user-friendly as possible and powerful enough to handle complex applications and logics. We developed data entry application and batch editing application, which is for checking logics, and used new features of CSPRO like external files, synchronization, paradata, and CSWeb for data transmission. A total of 30 temporary staff worked in this data entry process for 2 months. Here is some screenshots of data entry application. Data entry operators access using their own username, password, and working in allocated enumeration areas. We developed an online service that checks the household ID and person ID within PHRD. There are some auto-filled fields such as the street code, family name, surname, given name, derived from PHRD when ID matches, and some checks with birth date and age. Street code is a new and updated code by developing census data. According to the questionnaire, it captures address and 33 household indicators, 38 person indicators, and 7 indicators for household members living abroad. Here is data flow for simple data entry. During data entry, CSDB, which is CSPRO data files created and stored in shared storage in the network, data entry operators sync with CSWeb server to transfer data whenever they log into the system. All data synchronized data is stored in CSWeb server on MySQL database. It means no need for data concatenation. To monitor data entry process, we are using Paradata, PyTimely, and PyOperators. For monitoring purpose, we develop dashboards on Tableau that shows data entry process by province, by data entry operators, and date. Here is the data processing to complete census database. As I said earlier, census database consists of three main databases. PHRDB is integrated with person self-confirmation system who live in abroad registration online system and linked databases. Key indicator of PHRD is household ID, person ID, and additionally family name, surname, given name for matching other person-related data. And key indicators for household-based data are address, which contains administrative units, street code, building number, gate number, door number. The main database located in MS SQL Server. Other integration and matching process done in MS SQL Server. For data analysis, tabulation, we use SPSS and Tableau for monitoring. We are working to disseminate the census result by traditional and online methods. For now, main report for census is available. Result of dwelling census map dashboard is available for online. Some data of the census is available for 1212.m main statistical portal website. Also, 10% of microdata of every census is uploaded to 2020 MN statistical website. Upcoming year, population and housing census 2020 micro data will be available on the website. Thank you for your attention. That is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Ma, for your presentation. We looked at different applications and databases are effectively integrated in the population census of Mongolia to achieve operational efficiency and effectiveness. Thank you. Now we will open the floor for the Q&A session. There are a couple of questions for our speakers. Okay, the first batch of questions is for Mr. Surapudi. Let me see. So the first question to Safi. How can the PNG NSO await all the technical assistance on CAPI from the U.S. Census Bureau through the USAID? Shall they write directly to the U.S. Census Bureau for the assistance?
Right. So the best way to do this thing is to approach one of us, like me or Oliver, and Oliver will take the lead from there. So that's the best way to go about doing it.
Okay, that's good.
So then we will provide you with the contacts if there are any, like the U.S. mission in country. They give the contacts to them, and we'll help you how to negotiate that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. The second question is about the features of the CAPI of the CS Pro. Does it support the grid design, which allows the respondent to have the flexibility to fill in the questionnaire both vertically or horizontally?
Unfortunately, on Android platform, we do not have a roster or the grid feature in place yet. But on the desktop, like if you were to do like a demographic health surveys are still conducted using Windows laptop. On that, there is a roster, and you can have a free-form roster where you can fill in horizontally or vertically, and you can control how we do the application. But CS Pro has got this very tightly controlled flow, which will make sure that your data is integrity is preserved. So if you're doing this loose form of writing this vertical and horizontal means, like in a free form way of navigating in a grid format, like you need to write your own logic to make it make sure that your data is consistent with other fields.
Okay, thank you. So that's another question for you, Sandy. do all the census and surveys in the U.S. Census Bureau uses the CS Pro?
The U.S. Census Bureau does not use CS Pro for its main census. We have used CS Pro in the Bureau for some outlying areas for doing some data processing. But otherwise, as a main data capture, U.S. Census Bureau has they have different security policies and everything that need to be met. They do not use the CS Pro for that. For their census 2020, they also had this CAWI and inbuilt system on the tablets for doing capping.
Okay.
That was developed in-house. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Thank you very much for your further elaboration. It does make us better understand the CS Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So I will move to other questions, which is addressed to Ms. Varadi, the speakers of the India. So in the population census of the India, you have two phases. What are the questions asked in phase one?
Okay, first phase is actually house listing census, and the questions asked regarding housing condition, material of floor, wall and roof, then use and condition of houses, ownership status, number of rooms, amenities available in the household like drinking water facility, latrine facility, lighting facility, drainage connectivity, and assets possessed by household like radio, transistor, television, computer, smartphone, bicycle, and access to internet. And some other questions, two other questions, main serial consumed by the household and mobile number of the household.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. So I see there are two questions to Seven of the Mongolia. So in the office of Mongolia, since you are using several softwares in the census, is there any issues with the linking and the converting of the data files amongst different database and software?
Okay, yeah, as I mentioned, we use several databases. Our main database is MSSQL, and so we matching them by PIDs.
Mm-hmm.
The person ID is the main PID of the person. We base it on the person ID.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If it doesn't work, we're using names, surname, and name by addition. Yes.
Okay. What about is the registration ID revised or deleted? Does it pose any issues to the integrity of the data? I think you have the procedures of data synchronizations amongst different database, so that there is no issues of the data synchronization. Is it?
No, that's not so many big problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a follow-up questions to Safi about the CS Pro. Oh, is there any plan for the CS Pro to have a web version?
It is a very good question. Yeah, the short answer is yes, there's definitely plans to make it happen, but the timelines are not quite clear yet. Our intent is to make sure, like, to have the same CS Pro ecosystem work with, both on the Windows, the Android platform, and also on Kari. Like, so we do not want the users to relearn something new. But that is a bit of an effort. We are actively looking into it as to securing funding for such a project and also making sure that it happens. And there is definitely a plan for it. There's a lot of growing demand for it. I think in the current round of censuses, while Cappy is the mainstream, I think like the industry is leaning towards doing Kari like extensively for the 2030 round of censuses in countries where we are involved, and we will definitely be making sure that our customers are taken care of by providing this feature.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. I think there is no more questions from the floor. So shall I close this session and thanks the speakers again for the insightful presentation about technology application of population census. The contents are really inspiring that provide useful references for other economies in implementing their census. Thank you to the participants for their participations, and I will hand back the floor to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you for moderating this session. Thank you very much, and thanks to the organizers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for your attention and participation into session 3. Special thanks go to Mr. Tim Chow, Mr. Surampudi, Ms. Waradi, and Ms. Dulma for their valuable contributions. Since we have 8 or so minutes until our planned starting time for session 4, I invite you all to take a quick impromptu breaks for about 8 minutes, and please come back in 8 minutes for session 5. Thank you for your cooperation.
Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check.
5, titled titled Census Taking Experience of 2020 Round Censuses. The chair of Session 5 is Mr. Yoichi Inagaki, Director of International Cooperation Section at the Statistics Bureau of Japan. Mr. Inagaki has extensive experience in international statistical cooperation, including the promotion of official development assistance, international exchange, and introduction of ICT in developing countries. He is also experienced in economic census. This session will continue for an hour until 1 p.m. in Tokyo time. With that, we would like to invite Mr. Inagaki to begin session 5.
Okay, sorry. Good morning, participants. Welcome to fourth session of 30th Population Census Conference. I would like to begin fourth session. I am Inagaki Yoichi from Statistics Bureau of Japan, moderator for session 4. This session topic is census taking experience of 2020 round of censuses. The presenter, Mr. Edgar Bielma Orozco from National Institute of Statistics and Geography of Mexico, and Ms. Serendran, National Statistics Office of Mongolia. Both presenters will present their latest experience of censuses. First presentation is Population and Housing Census 2020 in Mexico. Second presentation is Organization of 2020 Population and Housing Census of Mongolia and its innovation. Let's begin the presentation. First, Edgar, you may begin your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Inagaki. It's a pleasure that you could be the moderator. And I will share the presentation. I will put in full screen. Okay, it's ready. Well, thank you very much to everybody. It's a pleasure to share our experience in the case of Mexico. First of all, because we already finished the principal activity that is collecting the information in Mexico. And how was this experience? Well, we collect information from March 2nd to 27th on this year, and we collect, or we planify the activity to collect the information through 3 methods: the CAPI method, the CAWI, and the CATI method. And I say that we planned it because at the end we needed to use a fourth method that is the traditional postal method. And I will say why we needed to do this. Okay. First, I present this timeline because we experienced the pandemic situation at the end of the data collection in the 4th week. It means, if you remember, we start at March 2nd, and the problem that we start to suffer about the pandemic start at March 23rd. With the General Health Council recognize the seriousness of the disease, and at March 31st, the Ministry of Health issues an agreement suspending all non-essential activities, including the census and the face-to-face service. This was very, very hard for us to hear that issues, because it affects our activities related to census and service. Fortunately, for this date, we had 3 days that we finished the core activity, because you remember that we finished on 27th, the core activity of the census. So what kind of impact we suffer in the census? That after the census follow the activity of verification of inhabitant households. So this activity start the last week of the data collection of the census, so and finish in the first week of April. So we needed to suspend this activity at the half of all the work we were doing. So we stopped in general the activities related to the census, to the service, but through this time we were talking with the Ministry of Health in order to develop a protocol related to mobilization of people and their physical interaction. It means the use of a mask, the use of gloves, the use of liquid soap, understanding that the liquid soap has the characteristic of amphiphilic. The molecules it has this characteristic and is very effective to attack this virus. So reaching this agreement with the Ministry of Health on July 17th, we started to recover the activities, recovering principal the verification, but we needed to cancel the post-enumeration in order to measure the basis of the census. But we substitute this activity with another survey related also to measure the bias that could have the census. So in this process, we conclude the enumeration stage, as well as the first week of verification. The rest of the verification was rescheduled, as I said, according to the health alert spotlight system in each state of the country. By the end of the enumeration operation, nearly 95% of the identified private dwelling had already been counted. Related to the population, we have counted after the verification, we have counted more than 98% up to now, and still working on the integration of information, 98%. Also, 98%, very similar, by the way, the numbers, but related to another concept, 98% of the interviews were conducted via CAPI, CAWI, or CATI. That was great for us. And compared to 2% of via PAPI. Why we needed to use via PAPI? Because the area that were not secure, with not security around the neighborhood, principal for robbery or assault, something like that, we prefer to use the PAPI system in order to prevent an aggravation or something like that. But we are happy that most of the data collection was through these three first methods. This is an example of the last week. Here is myself putting the example of how collect the information, preserving the health distance. It means not to ask to the people to go outside the home, that we prefer that they stay inside the household. And for example, here with Interphone, we were collecting the information in the face-to-face case. At the right, there is another picture, like we were very far distant for collecting information, and that was really important because we needed to show to the people how to develop or how to deal with this kind of situation that was risk for the people. For the people who were answering the questionnaire after March, in April or May, because we extend the time to participate in the census for this very small household that have not participated. And the question to identify March 2020 residents were added to the census questionnaire. The post-enumeration, as I told you, the post-enumeration survey was canceled. However, the sample survey for focus estimation of coverage and cover was conducted in the municipalities with the greatest difference in population with respect to historical indicators and estimates. The results dissemination calendar was modified also due to the evolution of the pandemic. But as I told you that although we planned the census via three methods, we needed to add another one that was the traditional postal and physical postal method in order to approach to other households when the health authority prohibited the conduct of the census and surveys through face-to-face. As I told you, the verification was suspended. As a result, the period was extended so that the population could respond via self-enumeration, via internet. But to participate via internet, they needed a letter invitation. That was really important. Why a letter invitation? Because before they could participate, we needed to put a QR number in the household with a sticker. We put it a sticker with the QR, and we read this QR with the mobile device in order to also read the QR of the letter with the invitation to participate via self-enumeration, in order that the member of the household could participate through in their own house or from their job or wherever they wanted, from the cellular or wherever they wanted. But the principal issue here is that we know the geospatial reference related to that household. That is the reason why we needed the help of the people who work in the postal service in order to give the invitation, the invitation letter. During the period of the confinement, reminders were sent to users who provide their mail, but had not responded to the census questionnaire. And the strategy was implemented to mail invitation to households that had not received them during the operation to participate via the internet or call center also. Once the confinement period began, the diffusion campaign started also, or recovered the diffusion, because we started with a very big diffusion campaign, but we needed to restart this campaign again after the confinement. Promoting participation through the self-enumeration, focusing effort on municipalities with the greatest number of slots. The first days of the confinement were impacted by the excess of people communicating to the call center. That is really important. We tried to focus the participation in the self-enumeration via internet, because in this way we have all the capacity to receive hundreds of thousands of people sending information. But in the call center, we are limited to a number of people receiving the calls. So this is the reason why we prefer to send the people to participate via CAWI and not via CATI, because at the end we face some little problem in terms of excess of participation through this method. This is the behavior of the participation via CAWI principle, and as you can see, unfortunately, most of Mexican people decide to participate at the end of the month in March, sorry, and they continue participating a little bit, and they recover here in this part of the graphic when we invited again to participate to the few people who remain without participating. Okay, at the end we collect more than 100,000 dwellings responding to self-enumeration. Maybe some people say, oh, this is a few dwellings with respect to the 35 million of dwelling that we have in Mexico. But also remember that first is the first time that the people participate through these methods. Second, that it means 100,000 dwellings that maybe they will not participate through another method. That is the reality, because they don't want to participate in a face-to-face or in a call center or something like that. So that was an opportunity to show to the people that there was another way to participate in the census. Okay, we also considering that we collect information through a mobile device. We collect also the GPS and virtual maps, the GPS coordinates of the households, and virtual maps were used to verify properties remotely. The mobile computer device is equipped with GPS and is used during the address canvassing operation, a file operation where census workers systematically travel all nodes and new streets and roads to identify every structure where people live or could potentially live, and update the address list and maps. The strategies implement and the government's sensibility to the need of information will make possible to conclude the census. So we are very near to prepare to the publication of the population and houses count in January 25th of this next year. It means less than 2 months from now, and we will have another publication or other results on March 16th of the next year. So the principal experience that we learned about this is The first one, to have a very straight communication with the Ministry of Health. That is really important in order to be planifying in this case of pandemic situation. We also take the advantage of having 3 or 4 methods in order to capture the information. This means we don't focus only on one method. We ability 4 methods in order that the citizen decide which one they want to use. That was the other learning that we emphasize about this strange census that we experience. So thank you very much. This is the experience of Mexico. I insist we are ready to publicating the information, and we are happy to have the content in Mexico. Thank you very much.
Mr. Edgar, thank you very much for sharing your experience about conducting the census and the COVID-19 pandemic. Next, Ms. Chelendran, you may begin your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my presentation? Okay. Hello everyone, greetings from Mongolia. I will present about the organization of the 2020 Population and Housing Census of Mongolia and its innovations. I would inform my presentation within these purposes, within these 6 frames. Census purposes, features, census management and organization, about population and household registration database, dwelling census, census data development and the results. When conducting Population and Housing Census 2020, we put the following purposes: improving population and household registration database, enumerating population and housing completely without any duplications and omissions, disseminating results to the users clearly and accessibility, using geographic database creatively, analyzing in-depth analysis. There were the following features for conducting the census. Census was conducted within the law on population and housing census. Mongolia has a law on census, which is approved in 2008. And also census was conducted with the data collection combined methodology. Enumerated Mongolian citizens who live in abroad via internet. Within the framework of the census, dwelling census was conducted in 2019. When conducting dwelling census, we used geospatial database. Also, we derived the result of census linked with the result of population and housing census and dwelling census. We used this census motto in last 2 censuses for advocacy. Motto means the government is precious for the population is precious for the government. Census advocacy was organized in many ways. Advocacy postering located in public places. Census video was broadcasted in TVs. NSO staffs participated in TV news to encourage population enumerate actively in census. And also other advocacy campaign was conducted in internet channels. This scheme shows that census management and organization. Census State Commission managed and organized Population and Housing Census 2020 in national level. NSO provided census methodologies. And also, AMEC and the Capital Census Commissions, SOM and the District Census Commissions, BAC-HORA Census Commissions managed and organized census in their territories. BAC-HORA is the minimum administrative unit in Mongolia. When we choosing census topics and indicators, we based on the law on population and housing census. Census mandatory core indicators are indicated in law on population and housing census. Moreover, we based on the principles and recommendations for population and housing census revision 3 and SDG indicators. According to the principles and recommendations for population and housing census revision 3, we can derive 30 indicators of population and housing census from total 49 indicators indicated in principles and recommendations. Also, we can derive 25 indicators of dwelling census from 31 indicators indicated in principles and recommendations. This slide shows that information about previous 4 censuses. For 2020 census, the census date was 9th of January. Data collection method was combined method, which means the combination of register-based census and traditional methods. In other words, there is a population and household registration database in Mongolia, which is registered in minimum administrative unit, BAC-HORA. BAC-HORA governor charge and maintain this database. The population and household registration database was updated in way of linking other databases of state organizations. This was register-based method, whereas by traditional method, 10% sample of total household was collected in paper assistant personal interview. Census period of traditional census was 7 days. Questionnaire form was 2 types. Short form was collected in short form was collected in register-based census, and long form was collected in traditional census. Totally, we spent 3 months for receiving raw materials, coding and typing until data developing in traditional census. The typing was done in CS Pro program. Now I will describe more detail about the data collection methods. For traditional method, the traditional data collection method was conducted paper assistant personal interview. Enumerators collected the census data from selected households by paper questionnaire. The supervisors checked the questionnaire filled by enumerators. NSO received all completed census materials from administrative census commissions. Sample size was 10% of total household in every administrative units. Register-based data was collected linking with population and household registration database and other databases of state organizations, education, health, welfare, social insurance database, and so on. Key indicator of linking databases was person ID number, family name, surname, and given name. Moreover, every household have an address information and location points in population and household registration database. Address and location point is the key indicator for linking geospatial database. Within the framework of register-based census, we linked totally 50 databases to population and household registration database. Of them, 7 ministries, 9 agencies, and 28 administrative data. This slide shows that data collection scheme of register-based census. Population and household registration database works that always link with civil registration system. When linking with other 50 sub-databases, verified person ID number checked any duplications. Also, we organized internet census and person self-confirmation system. I will introduce the history before describing population and household registration system in detail. Population and household was registered in paper as a booklet since 1972. Population and household registration booklet was shifted to offline database in 2006, also transferred online database in 2014. Indicators of population and household registration was renewed in the following years. Now, population and household registration systems operates by this scheme. All administrative units connects by internet to population and household registration database. They register population and household live in their territories to the database. Mongolian National Data Center provides safety operates. NSO provides methodologies. Population and household registration database connect with civil registration system, as I mentioned before. That means information of registered birth and deaths to transfer it directly as a notification to population and household registration database. According to the notification, Baghara governor add newborn babies to the household and also exclude person who died from the household. Population and household registration system has the following features. Database don't have any duplications of population and household. Births and deaths are registered directly to the database because it's connected with the civil registration system. Population and household migration can be controlled. Database is a real time. Therefore, we can drive the population and household indicators in a real time. Population is registered to database based on the person ID cards, surname, given name, family name, and person ID number. Within the framework of the census, there were some updates to population and household registration database. For instance, new indicators such as profession, employment-related indicators were added. Every household have an location points in population and household registration database, as I mentioned before. This slide shows that household location points. We can do any samples from any indicators in database, and the sample can be showed by household location points, include household information. Household address in database was updated by new address system, which is developed by Authority for Land Management and Geodesy. Therefore, updating new address system, we can possible to connect with any geospatial databases. Also, related to new household address system, address map updated in population and household registration database. The slide shows that new updated map. Within the framework of the census, we launched person self-confirmation system. This system provides person can check and confirm their own private and household information filled in the population and household registration database via internet. If information has any differences, person can make a correct. When person entered this system, they must be get the privacy code by their own cell phone, which must be registered in their name. So we work that provide for conditions not to lose person's privacy. Moreover, we launched online system that register a person who live in abroad via internet, cooperate with Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This system provides a person who live in abroad can register themselves and the embassy can register them. Now this system works regularly and maintenance is done by Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Also, this online system is linked with the border database, so it provides persons who were outbound that can be registered only. This becomes the database more clear. Now I will talk about the dwelling census more detail. Mongolia organized dwelling census in 2019 within the framework of Population and Housing Census 2020. Dwelling census was conducted independently for the first time since 1960, as well as the dwelling census was conducted based on address map developed by Authority for Land Management and Geodesy. For preparation for dwelling census, we created preliminary address list because all buildings and objects of Mongolia is depicted in address map of Authority for Land Management Geodesy. Therefore, we need to classify the dwellings from non-dwelling buildings in address map. And also we marked whether the dwelling have a permanent residence or used seasonally. So we created preliminary address list. Preparation of dwelling census was started from 2017. Pilot census was conducted in 2019. The data collection of dwelling census was conducted during third to fourth quarter of 2019. Data collection of dwelling census was conducted regionally. It started from Western region in August to Eastern region in November, and final data collection was Ulaanbaatar city in December. Data collection was conducted based on tablet. The dwelling census framework and indicators was based on Law on Population and Housing Census and Principles and Recommendations for Population and Housing Census Revision 3.2. According to the Law on Population and Housing Census, the following dwellings must be enumerated in census: single-family house, convenient single-family house, apartment, ger is a Mongolian traditional house, and public dwellings. According to the dwelling depicted on the map of preliminary registration, census map was developed for each of 21 AMOCs and 9 districts, which means all administrative units. Data was collected by combination of program, collector for ArcGIS, and survey 1, 2, 3 in tablet. Within the framework of data collection of dwelling census, we developed three kinds of address map named BOST 1.1, 1.2, and 2. BOST is an abbreviation of dwelling census in Mongolian language. BOST 1.1 contained address map of single-family house, convenient single-family house, and public dwellings. These dwellings were depicted by a polygon in address map. BOST 1.2 contained Mongolian traditional gear. The Mongolian traditional gear was depicted by a point in address map. BOST 2 contained apartments. Apartments were depicted by a polygon in address map. The process of operation of programming was as follows. First, to select the address map from BOST 1.1, 1.2, or 2, and then select a polygon or point of the dwellings in address map in collector for ArcGIS program, and to shift Survey 123 program to start the survey. After finishing survey completely, enumerators transferred completed questionnaire to the server in online mode. The result of dwelling census is available for map dashboard. Map-based census result dashboard was developed for each 21 AMOCs and 9 districts, which means all administrative units. This slide reveals that census result dashboard. When deriving the result of dwelling census, we link it with housing conditions, which is lived household enumerated by Population and Housing Census 2020. The key indicator for linking of two censuses is the address database, which is developed by Authority for Land Management and Geodesy. This slide reveals that whole data collection process of two censuses. Data collection of dwelling census was organized July to December in 2019. Data of population and household registration database was updated during 2019 to 2020. Data collection of sample survey was conducted in January 2020 during 7 days. At the end of the combination of two censuses, the census result was available for June of 2020. We are working to disseminate the census result by traditional and online methods. For now, main report of census is available. Result of dwelling census map dashboard is available for online. Main report and some core indicators of two censuses available for 1212.mn statistical website. We input 10% microdata of every census to 1212.mn statistical website. It provides users can use the microdata of every census. Now, the following years of census microdata is available in website. In the next year, the Population and Housing Census 2020 microdata will be available for 1212.mn statistical website. For inputting the microdata, there is more important thing is confidential. So we inputted the microdata provided confidential. By according to the law on population and housing census, enumerated reference must be given to all person who is enumerated. This slide shows that enumerated e-reference. Now I want to introduce some result of Census of Mongolia. According to the census result, population of Mongolia was 3,296,866 at the census 2020. The population of Mongolia is still young, as 31.5% of overall population was aged under 14 years. 64.4% was aged 15 to 64 years, and remaining 4.1% was aged 65 years and over. At the national level, 897,427 households were enumerated, of which 59.7% were nuclear households, 22.7% were extended households, 15.4% were single household, and 2.2% were composite households. Total households live in 770.9 thousand dwelling units. Census result can be available for indicators of ethnicity, settlement, migration, education, literacy, disability, internet cell phone users, employment, households, housing conditions, dwelling construction and infrastructure in all administrative units. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Chandran, thank you very much for sharing your experience and some ideas. And now we will proceed to Q&A session. A question for Mr. Edward, okay? On EcoBar, what is your criteria to determine which area to be visited? Revisited, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, I answered in the chat about that. It was conducted in the, as I told you, in the municipality with the greatest difference with population with respect to the historical indicator. It means where we have a wide difference with the tendency, the historical indicator. We needed to know what happened there. They were in few cases, but we needed to know more information about that. In the municipality where this was consistent with the historical and the prediction, it was not needed to put in risk to the people who will collect the information. This was related only to the municipality where we see a very big difference. That is the answer to this question. And there is another question about the if the budget changed in the case of Mexico. It was not needed because, as also write in the chat, we suffer an effect only for the rest of 1 week of the verification. It means the main activity related to the enumeration that's considered 4 weeks, we finish and we in fact had 3 days more before the authorities closed this the activity of collecting information. So for the main census, we don't have any kind of problem. And for the verification, that as you remember, is a smaller, a very smaller group related to the people who work in the enumeration. We collected half of the activity. So we were affected only in the second part of this of the verification. So the budget was affected, but not so much. That is one point. And they were asking if it was reduced or increased. It was not reduced or increased because we also in planifying a census consider a little amount related to contingency. It means because the experience in the case of Mexico tell us that we suffer about raining, about other natural disasters. So we were prepared to face this kind of, not so big like this problem, but we were prepared to face any kind of this natural disaster. In this case, we can consider like similar to a natural disaster. And okay, and there are homeless people in Mexico in counting in the census. If so, how are they counted in the census? Okay, yes, we in the census we consider the homeless people, and how we consider because the first week we are covering the areas where we are identifying this kind of people. it means under a bridge and something like that. We are identifying this kind of area 3 weeks before finish the census, and we select one night in the fourth week in order to work from 8 o'clock p.m. until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And we start to collect information through these hours in the night. After 3 weeks of identify the principal area who chose this kind of people to sleep in night. I don't know if I suppose I answered all the questions related to Mexico. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Edward. And question for Ms. Chalendra. Okay. Do you adjust the population count based on the result of the PES?
Okay, thank you for the questions. We didn't adjust the population count based on the result of post-enumeration survey. And Mongolia conducted post-enumeration survey in order to estimate content and the coverage errors. So we didn't adjust the population. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chalendra. It is a little bit early, but I'd like to finish this session.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much for your excellent presentation, Mr. Edward and Chalendra, Ms. Chalendra. Yeah. Thank you all to audience for watching and participating in this session. This is my pleasure to moderate this session today. Thank you.
Thank you all for your attention
Thank
and
you very much.
participation in session 4. Special thanks go to the chair and the presenter contribution, and especially thank you for correcting the confusions in the session note. Before we move on to the next session, we have 7 minutes before the prearranged starting time of the session. So we will be back in 7 minutes and we will be ready to move on to the next session. Thank you for your cooperation. Welcome back, everyone. Now, we would like to invite you to session 5, the last session for today. This 1 hour session is titled as Census Data Dissemination and will be chaired by Dr. Bu T. Tu Tui, Director of Population and Labor Statistics Department in the General Statistics Office of Vietnam. She has extensive experience in questionnaire design, data collection modes, data analysis, and dissemination, who led the 5th population census in Vietnam in 2018 and 2019. The successful implementation of CAPI and online modes in the census have contributed to reducing time to dissemination and costs. With that, we would like to invite Dr. Bu Ti Tu Tui to begin session 5.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, participants. Welcome to the 5th section of the 30 Population Census Conference. It is my pleasure to facilitate this section of this conference. My name is Thủy. I'm working for Population and Labor Statistics Department of the General Statistics Office of Vietnam. And today I will facilitate the section of data collection, data dissemination of population census. And this section is the last section of today's conference. And we will have two presentations in this section. One is from Vietnam on enhancing communication in dissemination result of the 2019 population housing census. And another is from Hong Kong, China, about online interactive data dissemination service for population census. And as a previous section, after X presentation, we will take some questions from the audience. I encourage you to send in your questions using the chat window so we can communicate each other even in this virtual methods. Now, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Lê Thị Phương Mai. She is a specialist on population and development at the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA Vietnam. She has rich experience on providing technical support and coordinating technical support for survey design and implementation in Vietnam. Particularly for Census 2009 and 2019 and other surveys. The technical support, new ideas and initiatives from her and UNPA Vietnam has contributed to the success of 2019 population census, in which new strategy for data dissemination that helped that data users reach to census data easier and more convenient. Miss Mai, you can may begin your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Thủy. And now I would like to share my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, good morning, everyone. Greeting from Hanoi, Vietnam. Today, my presentation, I would like to share with you Vietnam experience in enhancing the communication in dissemination, the reason of the 2019 population and housing census. And my presentation includes 3 parts. The first one also I would like to give some background information on the census 2019 in Vietnam. And the second one, I want to focus on the communication activities in disseminating census. And the last one, we also want to share some thought about the dissemination plan in the future. And now I want to give you a little bit back information relating to Vietnam Census 2019. I think that if you attend the session yesterday in the morning, then you also know more detail about the census in Vietnam and data collection in Vietnam. And now I would like to say that, as you may know, that the 2019 census, population and housing census, was the fifth census conducted in Vietnam since the country reunion 1975. Then also it is the fifth census that UNFPA has provided the technical and financial support. And you also may know that in this census, General Statistics Office apply the ICT in all phases of the census implementation. And the use of the electronic device for data enumeration, one of many data revolution in the context of the industrial 4.0 in Vietnam that helped to improve substantially the quality and transparency of the data collected, shorten the time for data processing and disseminate the census result earlier. And for the census 2019, the Vietnam applied the 2 methods for the copy using the tablets and smartphone for data collection, and the another form cell enumeration. And the data collection took place near 1 month from the 1st to the 25th April 2019. Then after just 3 months after data collection completed, preliminary the results were disseminated on the 11th July 2019. It was the population day, International Population Days. And 5 months later, the key results were disseminated in the 19 December 2019. Then for other in-depth analysis, monograph on some selected topic on the emerging population issue will disseminate this month. That GSO and UNFPA also collaborate to disseminate that on the 18 December 2019. Now, for the census 2019, I think that similar to other countries, the 10 topic will be investigated. As you can see that including the population, migration, and education, disability, fertility, mortality, etc. And especially in the 2019 census, not only provide the traditional information on population and housing, but also many information can get from the census to be able to estimate SDG indicator. The census provided data to measure the 15% of the SDG indicator of Vietnam relating to fertility, marriage, marital fair health, youth and adolescent, disability, etc. In addition, you also may know that the population data from the 2019 census will use as the reliable denominator to estimate many other SDG indicators in Vietnam. Then understand, the importance of the census data for the policy advice and development. Then UNFPA and also work very closely with the General Static Office. We try to maximize use of the census data for decision making. Then, then for the census in Vietnam, the data and evidence is a very important for country in the context that now the government is developing the social economic development strategy for 2021 and 2030, as well as the social economic development plan 2021 and 2025. And also now Vietnam also prepared to develop that SDG implementation report. That's why that the census, the result and census data and evidence very important for Vietnam and right time for the country in this the time. Then now I want to move to the other, how the Vietnam disseminate and have this communication to share the result of the census. And in the first one also I want to mention that the communication, not, come after the census complicated, but start very early. In October 2018, General Statistics Office has launched the 2019 census propaganda website. You can see that the picture here, some the surface of that that's the website, and that the website provide a lot of information relating to census, including the advocacy video, including the question and answer, and all the legal documents. Then just to give very simple example that by May 15, 2019, there were the 131 article and news that are posted in that website, and more than near to 200,000 the hits to that website. That means that the channel for many people to know more about the census and have the idea, and also the resident can understand, their role and their responsibility to provide the right data for the census. And another the website we call that census operation and management website, also set up by GSO, General Statistics Office, and it can consider as a breakthrough for the census 2019. For that, the management website allows the Central Steering Committee can provide a lot of the guidance, management guidance, and also that that it is a operation work, mapping, household listing, etc. And by that the website supervisor from different level who have right to access to that website. They can see the progress of data collection. Even they can see the reports of the preliminary report and check validity of data. Then that really helpful for the during census. Then now I want to share some the highlight on dissemination of the preliminary results that organized on 11th July 2019. In this workshop, that workshop chaired by Deputy Prime Minister and also Minister of the Planning and Investment and Director General of the GSO. And more than 300 the participants attended that workshop, including the policymaker, representative from the Line Ministry, Academy, and other, agency, UN agency, development partner, and etc. Then we in that workshop we provide a lot of the product. The first, GSO also share the preliminary, the result report, and also we develop the, video show with all participants about the census on population and housing 2029 that focus on data collection. And also that we also developed the infographic video focused on key indicator. Then all the product are uploaded both to the GSO and UNEPA website in English and Vietnamese. That means that different data user can access to see. Then for that the event, we also invite a lot of the journalists and TV from different channel and newspaper to come. Then that's why that I want to share with you the media clipping. Then about the 20 article posted in the English news and 93 article in Vietnamese news and 10 news in the TV in the different channel, and also many talk show already share about that event. And 5 months later, General Statistics Office disseminate the key reasons on the 19 December 2019. And also similar to previous one, that the dissemination workshop chaired by Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of the Planning and Investment, and also many policymaker and academy development partner attended. That's so that this event draw a lot of attention, not from the policymaker, but also from, the scholar and the people from different agencies in Vietnam. And but for that, the event, a lot of the product we share in the workshop, including the key results report, and also we have the video, infographic video on the key indicator of the 10 topic. And especially, in these events, we launch photo voice exhibition on the Census 2019, namely the data, a story behind the data, because that we want to bring the data and statistics, we want this figure can talk about that lives of people from different parts of country. Then we think that is the one initiative, to make the collected data to become the talking story figure. Then that the photo voice we have to post it in the UNEPA website, and also we after we learn in the dissemination workshop, and after that we also organize in the center of Hanoi that place of the public gathering, which is the perfect for the attracting the public attention on the reason. And also similar to preliminary the reason dissemination, a lot of the journalists and TV and newspaper attended, and that provide after that they broadcast the new and data on the census. Here I just show with you, the photo voice exhibition, the story behind the data. It is a 10, we focus on 10 topics. First, about the older person, education, disability, early marriage, fertility, son preference, and housing, migration, and employment. We select that 9 topics. We call that is an emerging population issue. That's so both very positive one, and also show the thing, the concern, because that, for example, when you talk about the disability, we saw about how people, face with the difficulties and how they can overcome the difficulties. That, we think that is a very touch, the story about the life of the people in Vietnam. Here, I just show with you, some the picture of that exhibition, photo voice exhibition on the census, and just give you that the number that after that the photo voice took place 10 days in the center of Vietnam, and after that we moved to the green one UN house, and also we put in the Facebook that about the more than 1 millions views from the Facebook, UNFPA Facebook, and also we also count that around more than 1,000 visitors had visit that photo voice exhibition. Here, then now, beside that, we, as we mentioned, that we want to the data, we want to evidence of the census will reach to the policymaker. In the 2020, UNFPA, in collaboration with some government agency, we organized several workshops. For example, workshop with the elected official, and with the including parliamentarians. We want to share. We invite that General Statistics Office come to share with the elected official about the finding of the census, and also other the population issue. Then we organize several workshop. Then we think that the thing that can help to the way to read the people, especially the policymaker. And now for 2020, we also support GSO to continue explore the census data. Then currently, General Statistics Office developed the census data dashboard. Thus, the census data dashboard can help can benefit for data user. That means that they can access the data from form of charts and visual image, and they can download the data table for analysis, for research, and for forecast purpose. And also the data user can access link to report, monograph, and other product of the census. Then just inform you that we will disseminate that product on, in the next 3 weeks, December 2020. And we will disseminate that some, monograph, very important, the topic in Vietnam about the imbalance of sex ratio birth in Vietnam, and fertility in Vietnam, and migration and urbanization, aging population, and population projection. And you see that Vietnam, as you can see that the fertility is low at the replacement level. At the same time, Vietnam also facing with the aging population. That's why that we select, that's the key topic, and we will disseminate, in this December. And now, so for the future that we continue to work with the GSO, to support GSO to continue to analyze the population data, then try to link between the population census and other household survey conducted in Vietnam, and we plan to focus on population dynamic and climate change and other population and development. And also, the General Statistics Office also have planned to update the population database, and I'm sure that they also have planned to share census microdata, and to make sure, the maximize use this data for, research and also for policy development. And that's in the end of my presentation. But before that, I would like to share with you the infographic results. That video will take about 4 minutes. Chairperson, can I share? Em cứ lâu vào đi em show. Đấy. Em cái video đâu? Đợi tí. Chưa phải chờ cô đi. Thank you very much for your attention. It's the end of my presentation. Em quay trở về kia hội này chỗ này mà. I could not hear.
Dr.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. It's a very nice and informative presentation. To our viewer, once again, I would like to encourage you to leave questions about our presentation, and the floor will open for answering the question after the second presentation. Now we will move on to our next presentation, and I would like to introduce Mr. Chan Chi-ho. He is a statistician working for Census Planning section of Census and Statistics Department, Hong Kong, China. He has experience on planning and operations of general household survey for population census 2021 in Hong Kong. He has been assigned for planning and implementation face-to-face and telephone interview under mixed mode data collection, editing, analysis, and dissemination. Now we are waiting for your sharing about online interactive data dissemination service for population census. Mr. Chan, it's your time.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for my fellow colleagues coming from different countries all over the world. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to present on behalf of the Census and Statistics Department. My topic today is the online interactive data dissemination service for the population census and by census in Hong Kong. Okay, firstly, I will give you some background information about the upcoming 21 population census, or in short, 21C. And then I will introduce to you the various statistical products and services of the 21C with a particular focus on the interactive data dissemination service, in short, IDDS, and the district profile. So let's start. In Hong Kong, the population census is conducted every 10 years. Bi-censuses are conducted in the middle of the intercensus year period, that is every 10 years. The last census was conducted in 2011, and the last bi-census 2016. The preparation of the upcoming 21 census is in full swing. During the mid of this year, that is June to August 2020, we have conducted a pilot survey on the 21 census to test the various operational arrangements of the 21 census. About 90% of the households in Hong Kong will be enumerated through a short form questionnaire, which inquires only basic demographic characteristics. The remaining 10% of the households in Hong Kong will be enumerated through a long-form questionnaire, which inquires a broad range of demographic and socioeconomic characteristics. There will be a total of 46 data topics in 21C. The data collection period is from 23rd of June to 4th of August of 2021. That is 43 days. A multimodal data collection approach will be adopted, and 4 modes will be provided, including online questionnaire, postal return, face-to-face interview using mobile tablets, and telephone interview. Details has already been presented by my colleague, Mr. Tang, on session 1 on day 1. And I'm not going to cover the details on data collection in my presentation. So this slide gives you a glance of the Hong Kong population according to the 2016 population by census results. The total population in Hong Kong is 7.34 million, with median age 43.4, and the proportion of persons aged 65 and above is 15.9%. As you can see, Hong Kong has a rather aged population. Average household size 2.8. Land area of Hong Kong is slightly more than 1,000 square kilometers, divided into 18 district council districts. For the population density is 6,700 persons per square kilometer, and then for the most dense districts is about 57,000 persons per square kilometer. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and it's very densely populated. The household broadband penetration rate is rather high, about 95.3%. So now, let me introduce to you the wide range of statistical products and services of the 21 census. There are basically 6 types of data products or services to be disseminated via the 21 census websites, that is census2021.gov.hk. The first of all is snapshot articles. Snapshot articles basically are short articles giving brief overview of the Hong Kong population. And secondly, publications. Publications provide comprehensive overview and key highlights of the Hong Kong population. Statistics on selected population subgroups which are of policy interest, which is like children or elderly, are also included in the publications. Next, main tables. Main tables provide navigation, quick navigation on commonly used statistical tables in a convenient manner. Next, the IDDS. The IDDS can provide customization according to the data need of the users in a dynamic manner and provide more detailed breakdown of the statistics. I will talk about the IDDS in detail in the later slides. And district profile. District profile provides geospatial data displayed in map. And key statistics video provide a brief overview of Hong Kong population. The products of the 21 census will be available starting from 2022. And then meanwhile, if you are interested in viewing the products, you may visit the 21/6 population by census website. So I'm going to talk about the high-level data dissemination schedule. After the data collection period of the 21 census ends on the August 2021, the results will be disseminated by phase from February 2022 onwards. First of all is the summary results. The summary results will be released in February 2022, which is about 6 months after the end of the data collection period, followed by the release of detailed results, which is by phase from March 2022 to February 2023. The district profile will be released in about the third quarter of the 2022, IDDS September of 2022, and the main results, which provides the details, will be released in November of 2022. So here comes the main focus of my presentation, that is the IDDS. Well, the Interactive Data Dissemination Service is a handy tool for users to compile statistical tables or charts based on their own specifications for free. I'm going to highlight some of the key features of the IDDS, and then I will give a short demonstration on how to generate a table in IDDS, just to give you a taste. Well, IDDS is convenient. Users can use it anytime and anywhere. It is basically a central hub for all census data. Users does not need to search here and there for the various products. The IDDS contains much more tables than all the other publications and other delivery channels. Users can instantly get the results instead of other approach which may take longer time, for example, writing to the census office and request help. Next, IDDS is very simple to use. Users can just simply specify the required statistical tables and classification tables variables to build the table. IDDS does not require any installation or downloading of programs for installation. Users can just simply visit the sites and use. And the browser requirements is also very standard. And also, IDDS is very flexible. Users can further customize the tables and draw charts. Illustrations will be given in later slides. Users can also export the table either in XLS or XML formats for further processing and analysis. And in particular, XML format is available for all tables generated by IDDS, which is machine readable. And it supports the Open Data Initiative of the Hong Kong government. Oops. The IDDS is also mobile friendly. It supports responsive web design, which allow automatic rendering of web pages and the screen sizes on the commonly used browsers like Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, Chrome, and on different devices like desktop devices and mobile devices, including iOS and Android. So now I'm going to give you a short demonstration on how to use the IDDS to generate a table. You can access the IDDS via the 16 by Census website. In the Build Your Own Tables section, you just click Start button to start build a table. So the verification code is just for detecting if you are a robot or not. Okay, basically there are 3 steps in generating a table in IDDS. The first one is select a statistical variable or more that you would like that you are interested in. The next step is that you choose the table definition. That is, you choose the classification variable that is related to the statistical variable that you have chosen. And the third step is to press OK. So in our example, for the statistical variable, let's use population as our example. As you can see, there are various statistical variables available, and we shall choose the population. So after you select the statistical variable, the list of available classification variables will be shown in the classification of the available variables section. Okay, so the second step is to choose a classification variable. You can just click the classification and then shall we use population by age and sex as an example. So the first classification variable will be age. Okay, you can make multiple selections of statistics and classification. The system will automatically filter out the available combinations for you. So for age, let's choose, let's set perhaps 18 quinquennial groups as the class code. And for the second classification, we shall choose sex. And for the year, let's specify 2016 as the year. Of course, you can choose more years to display the results of the previous census or by census as well. In the third step, just press OK. So the table has been generated, population by year, age, and sex. And as you can see, on the top right-hand corner, you can see the Excel and XMS button. After you click these 2 buttons, the system will automatically export the table to you in XLS or XML formats. So the whole table has been generated. So I've just given a simple demonstration on how to use the IDDS, but there are a lot of other features for customizing the tables in IDDS. For example, you can add a new statistical variable in the table, change the order of the statistical variable, add more classification variables for further breakdown, change rows and columns, and etc. A few of them are selected for illustration in coming slides. Okay, for example, you can change the order of statistics as the user may like here. You can also change the order of classification. For example, the 2 classification variables, age and sex, are swapped here. You may also change the classification grouping. For example, you consider that the breakdown of age by quinquennial, that is in 18 age groups, are too detailed. You want some more broader classification, and then you can choose in IDDS. You may also change the position of the classification variable from row to column. And finally, you may also draw charts and graphs based on the tables that the users have generated. There are several charts and graphs available, including vertical bar charts, line charts, pie charts, and population pyramid. Okay, so you may wonder, so after we have seen how to generate a table in the RDDS, so how does it work? What is the data model behind? Basically, in RDDS, the aggregated statistics are first of all pre-calculated and stored in the RDDS database using a master data table that is MDT format. They are maintained in the RDDS according to the generic data model, which I'm going to introduce to you. In designing the data model, reference has been made to the SDMX format in the development of the RDDS for the 16 by census. There are about 0.1 billion MDTs in the RDDS and about 8,000 tables. 80,000 tables. 80,000 tables, yeah. So how to define the MDT? The first step is to define a statistical variable. Examples of statistical variables include population, household, living quarters, etc. The next step is to specify a statistical presentation for that SV. For example, total count is suitable for the SV population. And next step, each statistical variable is described by one or more classification variables in order to give a statistical meaning to that variable. For example, year and sex are two examples of the classification variable suitable for population. Statistical values in more detailed level can be defined by incorporating additional CVs. Please note that the RDDS will automatically filter out CVs that are available in the RDDS database for the users to choose from. A CV can carry different class code values. For example, male and female are two different class code values of the CV sex. The CC values of the CV are not necessarily mutually exclusive to each other. A subset of CC value belonging to the same CV can collectively form a tabulation format, TF, of the CV for the purpose of building a multiple-way statistical table. For a single CV, more than one tabulation format can be defined to suit different tabulation needs. Footnotes may optionally be defined for each statistical table for retrieval dynamically based on the specification of the statistical table by user. And finally, the facts table is the master data table is to use a single column key to store all information of the table, including SV, SP, CV, CC, and TF, etc. The next slide will give you an illustration. So this is an illustration of how the statistics in a table are stored using the MDT formats in the RDDS. The population by age by sex is used again as an illustration. So as you can see, let's see the first row. Okay, the first bracket stores the statistical variable and statistical presentation of the table. That is, for example, we are using resident population. That is our interested statistical variable. And N per refers to a number of persons, which is the statistical presentation of that SV. And our classification variable is time, and the class code is 2016. Well, of course, we also include the age as the second classification variable, and 0.4, 5 to 9, etc. is the class code values for the age. So basically, all of the tables in the RDDS are calculated based on, not calculated, generated based on the MDTs which are predefined in the RDDS database. The RDDS will just subject to the specification of the user, the RDDS will select the correct or corresponding MDT and then generate the table for the user's future reference. So the RDDS is targeted for use by general users in a simple and flexible manner. I will also highlight some of the enhancements of the RDDS in our upcoming 21 census. We will provide an application programming interface that is API, which enables sophisticated users in performing machine-to-machine inquiry. The API should accept a statistical table specification comprising SV, SP, CV, TF, etc. as input parameters. By doing so, it's expected that other web applications or websites should easily extract statistical tables or data from the RDDS and present the results on their own. And next, we will also allow saving and retrieving selected tables for future use. And finally, we will improve the user friendliness. We will further enhance the user interface of the RDDS so as to better assist users in locating, tabulating, and charting the required statistics more easily. So the next session, I will also give you a brief overview of the dissemination of the geospatial data in our departments for the 21 census. Several channels are used in disseminating the geospatial data of the 16 by census. The major one is district profile, which can be accessed in the 16 by census website. As you can see, the square in the square box in the bottom, in the middle. Basically, in district profile, a map is provided to facilitate users' navigation and search for the suitable geospatial statistics. Upon clicking the region on the maps, including district council constituency area, or tertiary planning unit, the characteristics of the households in the area and people living therein will be displayed. As you can see, there are different types of characteristics like domestic, educational, economic, and etc. So for the district council constituency area that I've just mentioned, or DCCA in short, each DCCA will return one district council member for advising the government on any matters affecting the well-being of people living in a district, or the use of public funds in a district, etc. So it's very often used by the government departments. And for the tertiary planning unit, is devised by the planning department of the Hong Kong government for town planning purpose. Well, alternatively, besides clicking on the maps, users can also select the target region quickly using the drop-down boxes. It's located at the top. All the tables in a district profile, users can download the tables in Excel formats or XML formats. So now, what is the enhancements in 21 census? First of all, after the table is generated, the users can redirect to RDDS, and the exact same table will be displayed in RDDS when the redirection is made. So in RDDS, users can modify the table formats and prepare some charts based on the tables and perform some further analysis. And we will also disseminate the geographical boundaries in machine-readable formats, for example, shape formats, so that, for example, users can draw the geographical boundaries in their own map. Well, the shape format basically is a shape file or geometry file which stores geographical features including points, lines, or polygons in a vector format. It's commonly readable or usable by many GIS or GPS applications. We will also upload the data to the CSDI portal and the GeoInfo map after the release of district profile. And the CSDI portal will be introduced in my next slide. The GeoInfo map is a geospatial information service provided by the Hong Kong government to the general public for facilitating the searching and understanding of geographical features, the built and natural environments and public facilities in Hong Kong. So lastly, I will give you an introduction to the Common Spatial Data Infrastructure portal that is developed by the Hong Kong government. It is a map-based information infrastructure leveraging GIS technology underpinning the smart city development in Hong Kong. Examples of spatial data include population, census and by-census data, utilities, land records, healthcare, education, etc. In the CSDI portal, spatial data based on agreed standard can be stored, searched, shared, explored, assimilated, and analyzed. And there are a lot of potential applications for the CSDI portal, but this is not our key focus of the presentation, so I'm not going to describe in detail here. So that's all for my presentation, and thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all good health and good luck in this difficult pandemic situation. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chan, for your sharing about the dissemination strategy for the census 2021. Now we have several questions to our two presenters. So first of all, I would like to send the question to Miss Mai. You have two questions. The first one is, after disseminating the result of the census, were there any case that in which the media raised any questions about the result, and if so, how did you deal with that?
Thank you, Chair. Then I would like to answer the question. And of course, after the disseminating the results, we from UNFPA side, we also received some question for media, for some question relating to want to clarify about the data, and for this case, of course, because we already have that recent report, and we can explain to them about for more understanding about the meaning of the indicator, etc. And for some another question relating to data, and if we think that we are not in the position to answer that question, we can contact with the GSO colleagues, because GSO colleagues in charge on that census, then they can, answer, that question relating to data. And also the several questions relating, come to UNFPA because they also want to see the view of the UNFPA about the population emerging issue in Vietnam. For example, aging for population, and for example, imbalance of sex ratio at birth, and for example, fertility in Vietnam. And they also want to know, what and how UNFPA can support government to address that population emerging issue. Then that's why that our representative had several. Miss Naomi Kitahara. She has several talk show in TV and also in newspaper, and try to talk about the population issue and how UNFPA can support to address that. And also I believe that your GSO colleagues, they also received the many questions relating to data. That's what I want to answer the question. And Mr. Because that I also see the question about that how many % of the micro data can that GSO can share. But I think that that's the question for GSO and for Mystery. But from the UNFPA point of view, we have to say that we receive very supportive from the General Statistics Office, because when we have consultant to develop that some monograph in-depth analysis, and we need the microdata, and GSO also share with us. Then I think that is a very, very good one. But how many percent? I think that is not our role to answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mai. Okay, I would like to share some more information regarding to the question to Ms. Mai, and another question about how many percent GSO is planning to make is available to user on microdata. So as you know that for this census, we disseminate the results very early, 1 year earlier than traditional methods. So the database is also shared very early to other policy maker, especially right in December 2019. We also shared the database for Committee of Ethnicity, Committee of Ethnic for their formulating the project for development of ethnic city and people in mountainous areas. And now the project has been approved by National Progress. So and also we also sent all the microdata to 63 provinces, and also we also have a data warehouse that all users can access data that we will launch in this December, 18th December. So it is something I would like to share with you about the microdata, and I think we will move to another question regarding to a presentation of Mr. Chan. The first question is, what is the disclosure control method applied in IDDS? Please.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Before I talk about what is the disclosure control of the IDDS, I will talk about the disclosure control methods in general for the census database. Basically, we have adopted a bottom-up approach in the disclosure control. We have applied the microdata perturbation. That is, we will apply some randomly generated noise to the weights according to a predefined distribution function. We will also do some things like cell suppression. We will suppress the cells with a rather small estimated value. And we will do some recoding as well. And it especially applies to the variables like household income. We will group the highest and the lowest values of the variable into a largest or smallest classes. And these are the main methods that we have applied in disclosure control. So for IDDS, as I've mentioned during the presentation, as all the master data tables entities are predefined, pre-calculated, and pre-stored in the IDDS, and the system will automatically filter out the available classification for the users to choose. So basically, there are no chances that the user can access the microdata, which may cause privacy issues. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, so you already answered the question about any way we could access microdata via IDDS, right?
Yeah, thank you.
And the question about this IDDS developed by Hong Kong, or is software in open source?
Is developed by Hong Kong. We hire external IT contractors to develop the system for us. Yeah, it's not an open source software.
So Mr. Chan answered our question. So I think we are over time now. So thank you very much, Ms. Mai and Mr. Chan, for your very nice presentation and informative presentation. And thank you, audience, for your participation and your question. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for your attention and participation into session 5. Special thanks go to the session chair and the presenters. This concludes all the sessions in day 2 of the 30th Population Census Conference. The conference will resume tomorrow at the same time as today, that is 9 a.m. in Ulaanbaatar, 10:30 a.m. in Korea, 8:30 a.m. in Hanoi, 11:30 a.m. in Port Moresby, 5:30 a.m. in Baku, 4:30 a.m. in Addis Ababa, 8:30 p.m. in New York, and 9:30 p.m. in La Paz. We hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.